What? You said go.
Yeah, it's
What?
like all magnets and stuff. Hold on, I was actually gonna reach for something, and then like it all fell apart because I'm finally
Still
getting
play
to spend a
magnets?
little quality time with the TCLs, the Ray Neo Nextwear S. So I grabbed for them off the side of my desk because I was gonna like, oh, let me just do like a fun little teaser like I'm wearing them. But then this is a magnetic breakaway cable, and then the visor is
Or
magnetic, and then it
magnetic?
all just fell apart. It just all like all over my floor. So, hey
Mag-
everybody, welcome to a tech
God damn.
podcast.
Is it
We-
though? Like, I mean, are we legitimately saying we have a tech? No, I'm just kidding. Yes, we do.
uh,
Welcome to the tech podcast. Sorry.
there was your drop test of the
Oh,
Ray Neo TCL Nextwear S.
it is absolutely fantastic. I'm glad you're getting a chance to play with the Nextwear S finally and checking them out.
Yeah,
And I like the new, the designs. They're nice. They're good. I mean,
I,
again,
I I'm just super positive on face displays. So I'm looking forward to putting them through their paces. We've both been spending some time with like the Rokids. I've been a
mhm.
fan of the X Reels, and it just kind of keeps confirming my assertion that if you've got a bunch of gadgets in your household, one of the absolute best accessories that you
Mhm.
can purchase is some kind of portable monitor.
Oh, absolutely,
If it's an
absolutely.
actual like slate screen, if it's a laptop dock, if it's a battery powered monitor or some kind of hub,
Mhm.
or one of these really cool hip exotic face displays, these are phenomenal.
Wh-
Like
Is
just
it
they
connected to the
expand
arm,
the
or where do you have
use.
that thing connected to? The
What's that?
wire. Where's the wire connected to?
Oh no, I just have the other arm
Oh,
folded
dude.
in.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. For a second there, I'm like, is it
Oh,
magnetic?
you
Is it
didn't get the
wire?
new version, TK?
No,
Hmm.
they sent me the OG, man. It was part of the Kickstarter. Remember the Kickstart scooter? No? Okay.
But I just like I keep trying to drive this point home because you have these powerful gadgets. Maybe you've got game consoles or
Mhm.
phones or tablets or laptops, and the second you add a screen to any of these products, just the usage, the functionality, the flexibility, everything just improves.
Oh, yeah.
And now again, one of the easiest ways to travel with a giant projector TV or one of these. So I'm gonna be spending some time with the TCLs. I have an old video where I stole your Kickstarter TCLs, and I might have to revisit, sort of a round robin of like the current X Real, the current Rokid Max, and these new TCLs, and just kind of see like we keep kind of leapfrogging each other for individual features. So it should be some pretty cool stuff.
We have to. We got it. And the only reason why I was just about to ask, are there many differences between what we had before and what we have now? I mean, hardware wise, or is it primarily just like a yearly refresh? Because I think mine was released late last year, and I think now
Oh no, no,
we're
no! I
around
don't.
the
I
same
don't think
time.
there's anything substantial. I mean, from stealing yours and using it for a little while.
Hmm.
More, it's just that I think it's important to kind of keep reinforcing what the lay of the land looks like,
Yep. Yep.
because techies are incredibly unfamiliar with this stuff, and that means if techies are unfamiliar with this stuff, average consumers have this is not on their radar at all.
Oh,
And this
yeah.
is one of the most critical conversations, in my opinion, for things like augmented reality. Is if we're going to bring kind of consumer facing AR experiences to more accessible price points and also things that you can actually wear out and about
Hmm.
in more portable fashion as opposed to like an Oculus or this Vision Pro or whatever headset with goggle immersion. We just kind of need to keep up the conversation. I mentioned this on the podcast, maybe not this week, but maybe last week, how Lenovo put out Legion. And so they
Yes.
had their Legion handheld and they paired it with their old glasses. They refreshed the glasses a little bit, but they're not like crazy redesigned or super fresh. So you have the Lenovo Legion glasses, and a whole bunch of tech journalists were like, "Well, these are portable face displays that I can get behind, and now we can take this product segment seriously." And you're like, you have you're basically telling people you've not been paying attention to this space at all, but techies are so unfamiliar with this stuff that they don't know that you haven't been paying attention to this stuff at all. And so now I want to try and get my hands also on the Virtu, because we
Mm-hmm.
would have TCL, we would have
Rogue,
X-Real, Rokid,
X-Real.
Virtu, and Legion. So we've got
Yep.
5 of these options where we're talking about micro OLEDs, birdbath optics, super, super sleek frames,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, reasonable power. I mean, how it draws power from the host device. Like, all of these are super, super portable solutions for projecting out a humongous image in front of you. And I keep trying to tell people this stuff is really flipping cool, but it takes like, oh, well, Lenovo made one. Maybe now I can take this series. Maybe now it's a product I could try and use one of the. And you're like, for like almost 3 years now. Lenovo is like actually a couple years behind, and what they're offering is not necessarily competitive against like the Rokids and the X-Reals or even the TCLs.
I seriously think
But
the N
it's a good
reels
name.
or X reel and Rokid are substantially more advanced than some of the other options. I'm not trying to put the TCLs down. I'm just saying is in the sense of the design, the features, the latest edition from both offer very good and very compelling options with accessories to augment that experience. Like, you
Sure.
get the control box, you get I think the X-Real beam, and then you have obviously the Rocket
Hmm.
Station. So I like that they're trying to venture also outside of the just the standard, I would
Yeah.
say ecosystem. But one of the things I'm really excited about, I'll be very frank, I'm going to be on a trip coming up Saturday for a very long trip somewhere in the land of old. I don't know if there's a way to say it better. I don't speak that way, but either way, so I am super excited because I am not only loading up content on my device, but
Yup.
I'm also keeping it in a sense where the Steam Deck is running everything. Obviously, I'm going to make sure to load that up. I'm going to be loading up the tablet, the Tab S9 Plus that I got a chance to review from AT&T,
Hmm.
and honest to God, dude, the best feature is to plug in the headset. You plug in the
Yeah.
glasses and you're there. There isn't much to do. You just plug and play. And it's
For
such a
me, I
pure
mean, on top
enjoyment.
of the plug and play, we say
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, it's just so easy. I need people to imagine like, because every now and then you might get on a plane and you might see someone with an Oculus, and you're like, okay,
Okay.
they want an immersive
The day
movie
that
viewing
happens for me, dude,
experience.
I will be basically like, dude, can I take a picture? And I'll be like sending it straight to my buddy.
I'm not gonna ask. I'll just try to blur around any like identifiable features. But I'll be like, look, there is a mannequin wearing an Oculus Rift on my flight. I mean, Oculus
Oculus is
Quest.
Yeah, Oculus Quest or actually speaking of which, we were supposed to the Quest 3 is supposed to come out sometime now.
Oh
Or
yeah. No,
it was
I mean,
supposed to,
like, I'm
yeah.
still super positive. I'm still trying to look at crunching the numbers on maybe trying to rock an HTC by the end of the year,
Oh
because I
yeah, the
think
Vive.
the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Vive Elite XR, whatever the name, it's a terrible name. But when we say these glasses are easy,
Hmm.
I mean, like, I want people to think, what does it take in your bag to pack a VR headset? The battery life on those things, when fully self-contained, unless you're running wires and cables and stuff, the battery life is going to be less than 3 hours. So you
Oh,
might get
mhm.
a movie.
Yep.
Like, for example, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is like 2.5 hours long. So
Yeah.
you might get to watch all of that movie on a single battery charge, or you've got to cable it up while you're blocking your vision all around you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then also just like plane lands and you're like, okay, now I've got to deal with this headset and get it back in a bag and pack all this stuff up and pull these cables and do all this stuff. Whereas, like, with the glasses, worst case scenario is like, I just put this in a shirt pocket and I get off the plane, and then I can take the time to get my backpack out and get the little case and put them in there,
Hmm.
and then I'm good.
Yep.
I keep trying to say, because we've both gotten these comments, like I've seen them on your channel too,
Hmm.
like, oh, $400, you should just get an Oculus Quest. It is the better way to do the VR, and these glasses aren't even real VR. And you're like, there is no situation where I would take these glasses where I would prefer having a VR headset. None.
Especially when
Now,
you're talking about
the
travel.
VR,
Especially
yeah,
if you
that's what
yeah,
I mean. Is like, there
yeah,
is
yeah.
no situation where I
Hmm.
would take these out, put these on, have this huge screen movie theater or large TV experience where
Yep.
I'm sitting there thinking, boy, this sure would have been better if I'd brought an Oculus Quest in a briefcase to block out the world around me. The flip side of that is I cannot play Beat Saber on these
And
because they
yet,
are not VR.
you know,
So
there had to be a
it's
shortcoming
like they're
right there.
different.
Yeah, there's a little, there's that bit of a thing where you needed Beat Saber, but you know, the good thing about it is, at least you can watch some movies. I think that's the best part about it. It just the
Yeah.
ability of having that large display in front of you, where everybody else is enjoying that tiny little thing on the
Yeah.
back of it. If you're lucky to be on a flight that has those, some of the flights don't have them
Yeah.
anymore. They're like, dude, if you don't have a phone or a tablet, you're sitting there
You're
reading a book, or
SOL,
you're
yeah.
reading you're reading the in-flight
The
magazine
in-flight magazine.
magazine for the
Ah,
first
that's
few
so funny.
hours.
They're trying to get rid of those too. It's like I
Yeah.
saw something like I forget which airline it was, but they changed the magazine paper out. And
Oh my
so it was
god.
like
It's a
they
QR code
shaved.
now.
No, 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 no. It's
All
still a
right.
magazine, but they
Okay.
just
Okay.
printed it out on much, much cheaper material. And it was
Okay.
something like we shaved half an ounce per publication. But that added up to something ridiculous, like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fuel across the entire fleet. You know they're looking at like, how can we get rid of the cards? How can we get rid of the magazines? How can we shave even more weight off of
Uh,
these airplanes?
it is crazy. But yeah, I mean, so the thing about it is, for us, we have a slightly different experience in general because we travel. We typically do take the longer routes. We do go on
Hmm.
trips. We plan things sometimes just to be able to even have that experience and test out certain tech. So
Yeah,
for me, I'll say this: wearable displays are
the
a
best.
must. And
Correct.
I think, well, no, they're a must for anybody that travels. If you've never, and again, this is one of those things where we need to see these things in stores before we wait for, not the Quest, but before, Vision Pro, whatever the
Yeah.
concept. I'm not saying whatever, but obviously Vision Pro is not intended to be carried with on a plane. Although I'm pretty sure we're going to see
No,
quite a
they
few
showed that
people.
in the keynote. They were
No, no,
like, "Oh, it's going to be so great for travel so that you can get 2 hours of battery life because your peripheral vision needs 4K resolution."
You have the peripheral with the extension anchor battery sitting on the back pocket, the wires, and the hostess coming over, and they're like, "Okay,
And
food,"
so
and
you're
you're
going to
like, "I'm
make eye
sorry,
contact with like a creepy, uncanny valley
uncanny."
representation of your face animated
Well,
behind
well,
these
let,
goggles.
skipping over, yeah, exactly. There's just a lot of emotions that are going to be going on these things,
So
but
from Ghost Starscream is asking, do dongles work with glasses so that you can charge both the headset and the phone at the same time? So the cool thing about the glasses
proprietary the
is
docks
that
do, but
they
some
are
docks do.
not they are not they don't have batteries. This is one of the reasons why they're so little and the
Hmm.
why. So anytime you've seen these mock-ups of like Apple AR
Um,
glasses,
hmm.
they've all been lies because they
Hmm.
have these like sleek, thin, almost
Yeah,
wireframe glasses,
exactly.
and people have been mocking up demos of Apple glasses for, I mean, since 2012, since the
Well,
very first Google Glass promo video, and they've all been lies. And if you do this, I did an experiment with this. If you do this,
you made your own
you
mock-up.
if no, no, if you
No.
search for Apple AR glasses, even
Hmm.
up until a month before the keynote where Vision Pro was
Unveiled.
unveiled,
Yeah.
you can still find like for $499, Apple's gonna sell you fully immersive augmented reality sleek frame glasses with lidar and spatial location tracking
And they're
and
gonna come
hand
over and give
gesture
you
tracking and
massage,
a
and they're
whole
gonna come
new
over and give you a
UI. It's gonna
massage while
be
you're in VR. Yeah, yeah.
holographic and it's amazing. And all of those rumors are back in action again. Like yet another series of articles came out like what are Apple's plans for
Well,
AR after Vision
so
Pro?
I think the ultimate. I'll say this probably what I would probably the reason behind that is we're always it's kind of a weird like a Jetson thing, right?
Hmm.
We grew up with things being seamless, and the ultimate goal we know is to have something similar to like this that has certain the ability of having a display
Yeah.
into it, batteries, and
But
all of that.
also, TK and I and our audience here,
Yeah.
we're rational individuals who understand the difference between visual effects in science fiction films and what is actually practical in the world today. But I did want to point out to Ghost Starscream. So this is, I believe this is the Rokid adapter.
This is the Rocket adapter,
So this
exactly.
is
It's
the
a
Rokid
they're docked.
adapter,
They
and it
call it
will
the dock. Yeah.
send power to the
Hmm.
phone while you put video out to the glasses. So this will work for phones. It'll charge your phone while you're
Hmm.
using the glasses.
Exactly.
If you run slightly more complicated cabling, you can get a laptop hub, and then you just need an HDMI adapter because you need to go HDMI to USB-C,
Yep.
and then you can charge your laptop or charge your Steam Deck that way. But there you need a power brick, which is going to feed power to the laptop hub. You need an HDMI cable that then
Oh,
is going to be
speaking of power
adapted
bricks.
to a USB-C,
No, no,
and
no.
then you
Keep going.
need the cable that's going to plug into the Steam Deck. So that's not to and that's not in my opinion. That's not travel worthy.
No, no, no.
What I would do instead is if I'm on an airplane and I'm going to be flying longer than the Steam Deck battery can sustain, what I would do is I would plug in the glasses, run until the Steam Deck battery was getting low,
Hmm.
then unplug the glasses, and then just go on the Steam Deck screen while I charge the Steam Deck back up.
Makes
And then
sense.
I can unplug and go back to the glasses. The power draw from the glasses almost perfectly matches the Steam Deck's built-in screen. So you can actually game just a tiny fraction of a percentage longer
Hmm.
if you go glasses. So when I was doing my battery testing, I was consistently getting like 1 to 2% differences in runtime, which is really hard to track. Like your battery measurements are never that precise, so I'm
Yeah.
absolutely in margin of error territory. But it was almost always leaning towards the glasses. So you have 1080p OLEDs projected out in space or 720p LCD. And when you start getting used to gaming off of the glasses, the Steam Deck screen does not look as nice as it used to. Like
Oh no, no.
it's a
Bigger,
lot nicer when
a
you
bigger
open it
display
all up.
will always win. I'm not
Well,
I'm not arguing
not
that.
just bigger, but if you put on the visor, you black out the glasses. It is a higher contrast. It is more colorful. It's bigger and more detailed because it's bigger at a higher resolution. I mean, it's just everything about it is a lot nicer. And so then you look back at the Steam Deck screen, you're like, well, how do I game on this again? Because I'm a totally spoiled, snobby, techie
Well,
guy.
I will say
So,
though, Omar's been playing on the Steam Deck. So he's playing Mortal Kombat and oh my God, what was the other game he's playing? It's another shooter. It's not Valorant. It's similar to Valorant. Um,
mhm.
Dang it, I can't put my name on it, but so he's been playing those games every weekend. So whenever he comes back from school on Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday, he's basically been on the Steam Deck. He drains the battery, recharges it, drains the battery, recharges it. It's like a consistent thing. And I told him I'm gonna have to take it with me on my next trip, and he's like, "Oh, you kidding me? Really?" Overwatch, that's what it was. Thank you. Um,
Oh, he's playing Overwatch. Dang.
yeah, he's actually getting better, and he's playing Overwatch on that tiny display at 720 on the Steam Deck.
Okay.
So
That's some
yeah,
commitment.
the Steam Deck is a legit. I mean, it is a legit piece of tech. I mean, and I know the it's starting to show its age, kind of a thing. But the
You know,
reality
it
is,
really. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm
no,
like from my
just don't do that
podcast
again.
on Monday. I'm still like cloggy and burpy and gross. I'm gonna try and get to the mute button before I have to clear my throat and sniffle in my sinuses and
I
stuff.
love it.
What I think is kind of interesting is the Steam Deck currently for PC gamers and the
Hmm.
Nintendo Switch before it really helped highlight for me a conversation on acceptable compromises.
Hmm.
And yes, you can absolutely find a more powerful machine in like an ROG Ally.
Probably, yeah.
No question. On paper, it is a more powerful device. But the practical usage of a Windows PC in a small form factor screen, touch screen kind of environment, coupled with the less stable frame rates of a more powerful SoC that can spike performance higher, but then has to thermal throttle to
Hmm.
compensate for the additional power in the power draw. And the fact that when you try to match them up, so like say you're really playing to the Steam Deck strengths and that you reduce the performance of the ROG Ally, you would expect that the ROG Ally should be able to handle that better, but in fact you actually see sort of poorer performance in consistent frame rates. I would much rather have a game playing at like a solid 40 frames per second and not changing
Hmm.
rather than having a game that can spike to 60 for some sequences and then crash to 30 for others. That is so much more noticeable to me when the frame rate is moving like that, as opposed to just staying consistent and staying still. You give me 30 frames per second, I don't think it's going to look very nice. You give me a stable 30, I'm eventually going to ignore it. If you give me 60 30, 60 30, 60 30, I can't play that game. I won't do that. It was my problem with Xiaomi phones 2 years ago. Was, yeah, they were crazy powerful, and then I'd fire up Undead Horde, and it would, like, you could see the game catch up to real time at like 80 frames per second, and then it would crash to like 15 frames per second and turn into a slideshow. And this is completely unplayable. This is terrible. So sorry, short story incredibly long. Steam Deck's great.
Yep.
Balance that out. Make appropriate choices. Like if you need to play AAA titles and you need all the horsepower and stuff like that, you might want to look at a gaming laptop with a big old beefy GPU. But sure. Yeah. We should probably actually get to the list of topics that we were going to cover this week.
Before we know it, the show is actually something else. No, I totally with you. And I do want to say I did get it, that thumbnail with that little SSD, portable SSD that you put out from Kingston. That was a I'm not gonna say clickbaity, because I was like, you sure that's the SSD? Like I couldn't tell from that picture, but because I have my own portable SSDs that I used to carry. I have my not the Kingston. I'm supposed to say I have my SanDisk one, but those things are actually getting very small, man. That is how. What's the
like
size
when
on that
we used to call them thumb drives.
Thumb drive, and they're back to the.
And they're like, yeah, it kind of is. I did this in the video. I'm just gonna do it again for the podcast. Back in the day, I used to have a really close relationship with someone on the Kingston PR team, and they would do some really silly things like, "Hey, your birthday's coming up. Do you just want a giant box of memory cards to give away?" I'd be like, "Yes, I do." And we would do a birthday giveaway. It was my birthday, but you got the gifts. This is back when I had like 10,000 subscribers, and Kingston was like all over stuff like that. One of the few things I kept from that era was the data traveler. So this is a 64 gigabyte USB drive. I have used this thing for years. Like I've put hard miles on this drive, and I still keep it around as like a backup. It's just not quite as
the
useful.
only time I use thumb drives now are primarily to flash BIOS. That's it.
Yeah.
That's literally like the only.
I have two drives down there, and yeah, another one of them is a Kingston, a 32 gig drive that I keep for that. So this is I'm sorry, this is the data traveler, and then this is the 1 terabyte SSD, and it's just a teeny tiny little bit wider. It is almost the exact same thickness. It is the exact same height. That's what we've gotten down to for portable solid state drives.
Are the other options bigger or same size when it goes like, let's say, 2 terabytes?
Similar sizes. So similar sizes, but then when you get to the higher performance drives, they're a different color. I think the casing is a little bit nicer. So the plastic metal panels, they just have kind of a rough edge to them. You can feel where there's a metallic shell and where there's a plastic shell. And you're like, okay. We're also talking about a drive that for a terabyte of storage sells for $65. So
that is nice.
You're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, if you ever just need an extra, just a little bit of extra space on your drive or on your system, connect it over USB-C, and that infamous USB-C port that apparently is so popular now for some reason.
I just don't see why people need it. Why would you need a USB-C? You know what really bothers me about USB-C is that it's an old port, and that no company should ever be forced to use a standard. And instead of using a standard, we should go to the most successful company and say, you get to design a new port that everyone else will have to adopt, just so you can make more money on it at the expense of all consumers. And otherwise, we'll just use really slow wireless transfers just so we can pat ourselves on the back for not using a better standard connector.
No, I'm with you.
Because that's what tech's all about.
Yeah, no, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. But then if it doesn't work and somebody else forces you to go to the same standard that everything else,
I mean, that's like government overreach. That's bad for companies, and all I care about are the shareholders. So I don't care if consumers get a better product at a competitive price. All I care about are the shareholders making more money. So if they aren't making more money, then I don't think they should be, companies should be forced to use better products. They should be able to design horrifically proprietary connectors that are inferior to the standard, and then harm consumers and create a lack of competition in the space.
My friend, I Apple laws to you. I Apple laws to you all day long, all day long. I Apple
So
laws to you.
I just like lastly, because I have the whole video out and I talk about the
Yeah,
transfer
yeah, yeah, yeah.
speeds and the
I think the
performance
video
and all
came
that
out
fun stuff too.
early. Was it today or yesterday?
Yeah, it
I
was
think.
today. It
Yeah,
came out public today. And
yeah.
so I just wanted to hold this up again because I feel like there are probably a few folks out there who are like me,
Hmm.
where we're really concerned about drives from a company who has been having some issues with drive reliability. And so now if you're shopping some options, there's like a really cute little mini option that you can take a look at. I mean,
Oh
just
yeah, and you're
how
holding
much
the Pro, right? The
smaller.
SanDisk. That's the Pro series from SanDisk, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. Because that's I think I have the 4 terabyte version of that one.
Yeah, because they're. I mean, this isn't huge. It's a nice little kind of
No, no,
ruggedized
no.
shell
Absolutely,
for a
it's absolutely
thing.
functional. It runs warm most of the time. It's not the issue. But the thing about it is, it's so. We're always limited by certain things on our devices. Specifically for me, like when I'm traveling, the laptop that I have has just 1 terabyte of storage. I don't have a way of expanding it. It's my Mac, and I've realized over time that as I travel and as my projects keep getting bigger, like seriously, on average, my projects are somewhere between 20 to 30 gigs. And this combination of A roll, B roll, all that extra whatever. But if you
Yeah.
put them together, yeah, that's a substantial amount of space. That if you're
Hmm.
traveling, you have multiple projects running in, then you have other content that you're adding and different programs. So the long story that I'm trying to point to is these little drives are absolutely fantastic for content transfer, content editing off of them. But again,
Hmm.
even like for me, for devices like our Xiaomi 13 Ultra that we use, right?
Yeah.
We can't do nearby share. We can't do anything as far as transferring that other than connecting it to a
Sure.
PC or connect that sucker to a
Sneaker
SSD.
netting. I,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but like sneaker netting is often faster. I did a project with a client where we had to shoot video samples and
Mhm.
uh, sorry, this is way too complicated. I was about to like, oh, and you see in this product, and we were going to do this and that, and blah 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 blah. And you don't need to know any of that. I was shooting off my Atomos
Let's
Ninja,
skip to the good stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
and
I
and
don't
they
know.
really wanted to do everything in like high quality ProRes. We're talking 422,
Oh, crap.
4K 60 frame per second
Oh,
video files. We filled up
I remember that project. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right.
hundreds and hundreds of gigs of storage, and so we're kind of getting halfway through the day, and we realize no one has a SATA adapter, so we can't back up any of this footage off of our SSDs
Please.
from the Atomos. So I was like, okay, don't worry, I'll take all this footage home, I'll just back it up on my PC, and then we can send it to you. We're talking almost a terabyte of footage.
Oh
It
my
ended
God.
up being they so I uploaded it and they couldn't download it. And it's always that frustrating thing where you're talking to someone who you come to understand is not nearly as techy as they say they are.
Mhm.
And it's like I've up it took me a long time to
Oh,
upload
yeah.
all of this footage, and they're like, "Well, I just can't download it." Like, well, I'm going to need more than that, but you don't ever get more because it just doesn't work. It's not just working. It's not just working enough to just work.
Good
And
stuff. Yeah, I know.
so
Good stuff.
we eventually had to just mail a portable SSD
You snail
with all the
mailed it.
footage on it
Yep.
just so that you could get this drive. And actually, if I had just done that from the very beginning, it would have been almost the same amount of time as uploading all the footage to the
Well,
cloud.
some cameras allow you to connect an SSD over USB-C to them and record over to the external storage.
Hmm.
Depends on the system. Not everybody does. I mean, I know that the Atmos
Sure.
is an external recorder, so you get the ability of doing so. But like other devices, like what I love about, like I say, the Sony Xperia option that we get now with the
Hmm.
Xperia 5, we can record on device and then transfer the content over on USB-C. We could do many things. There's a lot of flexibility.
Sure.
But for me, 90% of my problems I've always had with devices like the Find X6 Pro or even with the 13 Ultra is that they don't really work connecting into a Mac. Okay. The Android transfer program that we have is just literally like a 1 out of 10 for it to even work. And when it does work, it's like a real, pure chance.
Which is weird because you would think that the company, because like Steve Jobs years ago went out on stage and talked about adopting standards There was this really great, I want to say it was around like the G3 era of
Oh wow.
Macs, where he's
Hmm.
like, we're not only adopting these standards, we're getting rid of these serial connectors, we're getting rid of this SCSI, we're looking at like this universal serial bus alongside FireWire. We are contributing to the future of these standards so that they become the de facto ways
Hmm.
that you connect devices and accessories and components to your computer. It's really surprising that Apple would do something like purposely break USB ports on their MacBooks, never supporting the media transfer protocol. Also, an Android phone couldn't transfer information over a cable to a Mac.
Yep.
It's shocking to me. That
And
I'm shocked.
it
TK,
is
I'm
it is
shocked.
it is one of the most
Shocked.
frustrating
I'm
processes,
shocked.
especially when I'm traveling and covering events. Because as you know, for the last couple of years, I stopped taking cameras. I actually take smartphones with me. Those are my cameras, my
Yeah.
B-roll. I've even done full-on videos using the Find X6 Pro when I was traveling over the summer. So
Hmm.
literally my only solution to this entire thing is the beauty part that the SanDisk connects to my phone. I can transfer all my content to it at a very
Yep.
fast, at the fastest supported speed, and then I can put my content directly on my actually I don't even put it on. I edit it off the SSD directly on the
Yeah.
Mac, so that I don't have to even worry about
Which has
lowering.
been the concern over the SanDisks, because I think that might be one of the things that's causing so many of these drive failures is that the
They run hot.
ruggedized rubbery coating
Hmm.
is becoming a heat soak for the internal components.
Hmm.
And a lot of the people who have complained the loudest about having these drives nuke all their data are people who have been doing things
Uh,
like
uh,
recording directly to these portable
oh,
SSDs or
absolutely.
editing directly off of these SSDs. So I have a video, this little Kingston. I am not putting it in that class of drive,
No,
where I
yeah.
do not believe this would be the right fit for like a filmmaker to augment the storage of a production grade camera. But for it being a consumer facing device, I think you've got a lot of room there where it can step into some more professional roles, but I wouldn't lean on it as a pro series drive. So you can catch the whole video, see
Absolutely.
some of the tests that I ran to come to that
Mhm.
conclusion, and it's a short video. It's just really adorable. We're picking up like thumb-sized, pocketable 2 terabyte drives for 110 bucks. Like
No,
that is an
I
insane
appreciate
tier that we've reached.
the tech and how nice and small and affordable. It's becoming way more affordable. Um, the biggest thing I'll probably say though is just understand that there are options, and Kingston is definitely one of the better known one. I agree with you on the SanDisk. The heat concern sometimes does bother me, but it's still
Hmm.
one of the smallest ones that I have, and the smallest physical the device with the largest capacity I'm able to carry, like
Yeah.
about 4 terabyte. Because I think I had I forgot the name of the other one. There was another company that I did a video with that had like a 4 terabyte one, but it was just
Hmm.
much bigger. And I just space is at a
Yeah.
premium when you're
Well, and
traveling.
and I,
That's
and
all I
I
can
would
say.
also say like if we're looking at pro, I
Hmm.
think we're still in a phase where it might be worth shopping just an internal PC grade SSD and finding an
An external,
enclosure.
yeah, an
Yeah.
enclosure and running it, they may still be better. You're
So,
right.
so speaking of moving all these files and stuff around, I think a product that you would maybe consider for getting that kind of mobile work done would be some kind of fancy tablet that can like
Get some
do a
content.
desktop mode or
Beautiful,
I
man.
don't know, you
Beautiful
can edit video
transition,
or do some LumaFusion or something like that.
dude. No,
I
no,
don't know. I
seriously.
mean, like, have you been playing with anything like that recently that you could share
Some
with the audience
some
right now?
some
Just a little
tablets. I've traveled with some tablets. I have actually, surprisingly enough, this is the first time ever I've had two Tab S9 or two Samsung tablets in the house for an extended amount of time.
bit. What?
The lovely folks over at AT&T hooked me up with a Tab S9 Plus, a loaner for about a month to be able to play with it, check it out on their service, but also get a chance to see the connected part of a tablet. We've experienced it with other devices. You and I both played with the Surface about maybe almost about a year ago. It was like late last year. We had an opportunity to experience the Surface Pro 9 5G, seeing a connected PC on the go that runs Windows on ARM. And one of the other solutions that we always think about that's been around for some time is the connected tablet that doubles as let's say a PC. So that's what the Tab S9 Plus is trying to do. It's trying to give you that connected PC experience on a tablet, a la Dex mode, a la tablet with
Mm-hmm.
Android running some of the best experiences. Um, Surprisingly, it's not the largest version of the Tab S9. I was actually also surprised by all the comments I got that apparently in Europe the Tab S9 Plus and the Ultra are both 5G enabled, and then in Asia, all of the Tab S9s have a 5G enabled
Yeah,
model, where in the US we only get the S9 Plus. I I can
it's dumb.
speculate as to why, but I don't
No, no, no.
like I tried
I don't
justifying
even.
it in the video because I feel
I
like,
don't. I don't even care about the speculation. You do an
oh
extremely
no,
diplomatic job of
I
putting those
try.
pieces together where
Yeah,
the market and I just think it's dumb.
it
At
was
some
just
point, like we just kind of need to make a lot of those SKUs more universal. And to me,
exactly.
to me this is the big failing of 5G, where I think 5G is a scam. Is it really didn't improve a lot of customers' experiences because they didn't change the backhaul
Mhm.
going to the tower. So it's not like you really got the 5G speeds for the first several years that 5G was out in the wild. Really, it just became a way to
Un-
lock customers back in again, where you couldn't easily move your phone between different carriers or import a phone and
to
have
be able to get the
compatibility
right
for the
band. Yeah, the
network.
bands weren't
5G
all.
just became another pain point for lock-in, kind of like eSIM
Mhm.
is now too.
That,
So
that's another story for another day, my friend. I can have a whole
yeah.
conversation over
But back
eSIM
to the
2.2.
tablet.
But back to it. Actually, surprisingly enough, so the S9 Plus, I love I'll say this. So one of my favorite products of Samsung for many, many years has been their tablet. And it's not because they make I mean, they do make great tablets, but I'm not saying it's because it's, like they're so much better than others. There really hasn't been that many other players in this field of premium
No.
tablets. We've
Yeah.
had budget tablets, we've had mid-ranger tablet. Actually,
Well,
that's not true.
and set the stage, because like I
Yeah.
feel my designation for phones is a little different than like how you rank tablets. So I tend to think of phones in four tiers:
Okay.
entry level, mid ranger, premium, and ultra.
Hmm.
And if I apply that kind of idea to tablets, Samsung is the only premium and higher tablet manufacturer. And the
In the
Pixel
US right
tablet
now.
and the OnePlus tablet and the
Mhm.
Lenovo tablets are all mid-ranger to premium.
I would say, yeah, you're right. It is more of a
Because
mid-ranger
they're
to
like
premium tablet.
$500 to $600 tablets, not $800,
Oh,
$700 tablets.
absolutely. In the market that we're in, I think this is the thing. We're talking specifically the US market. I'm not trying to cover, obviously, internationally, we have way more. I mean, Xiaomi makes
Hmm.
some of the better tablets. I mean, we have Honor that
Yeah.
comes into the gameplay. There's a lot
Great
of different
slates.
options.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But what we're looking at for here with the Tab S9, so the S9 Plus and the Ultra are slightly different. They're obviously the Ultra is bigger battery, bigger display, has an extra camera on the front. There's a few other things that the Ultra carries the Ultra name with it,
Sure.
that I feel like, Samsung's justifying it there. But the experience that we get with the S9 Plus, I feel like at least it's that, I'm not going to say fun size, but it's like in between size where it's portable, it's slim enough, it's functional enough to get everything you need on it. You can add an SD card to it, surprisingly on a Samsung product, and the battery life is actually really good. The 8 Gen 2 is really nice on this. Like I have not, to this day, with all of my different experiences I've been doing it, I've never killed it. Like I haven't had a chance to drain the battery entirely. I will be testing it on a 10-hour, 11-hour flight in the upcoming days.
So you get
But
one charge. That's all you get.
I'm gonna charge it once, and I'm gonna see, can I go through the amount of videos that I've covered there, and because I'm bringing my own library. Not that I don't appreciate online entertainment, but the other thing I
Right.
really like about it is you can connect it to the airline, right? You can connect it to the Wi-Fi and then
Yeah.
do streaming off their content. But from that experience where we have, it's good luck to be able to customize our tablet and even add more features, unique customized features, the Dex experience as the native UI, as well as running Android on top of it, external displays, there's just so much to go, and it comes with an S Pen, and it's easy, it's ready to go. So I feel like it's an easy premium recommendation in the US if you're looking for something that is a top of the line experience. And I also said that in the video. I said, look, I realize that Google left the tablet game and they're coming back. I just don't think that the Pixel tablet is a competitor to the premium sector. I feel like it's a
No.
great mid-ranger experience. It's really trying to be more of a smart home hub than it is a tablet.
And
But
you
the
also have to shave $100 off the price of the Pixel tablet just because of that magnetic speaker
that's
base.
true, exactly, because that
So
typically doesn't.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a $500 tablet, but it's not a $500 tablet. It's a $400 tablet with an accessory included.
yeah.
Whereas that's where I would feel it's kind of a fair comparison. And it's similarly like
Hmm.
the full kitted out experience of a OnePlus tablet
Oh, absolutely.
doesn't quite hit the price point of what Samsung's doing.
Surprisingly, and not a sponsored thing, OnePlus is currently giving out the keyboard for free if you pick up the tablet. That's just kind of a thing. I saw the email a couple of days ago. But yeah, no, we have many options, and actually, there's also rumors about the whole OnePlus Tablet Go, potentially something that means Samsung, not Samsung, sorry, OnePlus is coming in with another tablet. But
Yeah.
from a solution to what Samsung's doing with the Tab, I feel like it's a great solution. The whole only one SKU having a connected, so like you can't even buy an unlocked 5G tablet. It has to be a carrier version. I feel like there's a little bit of conversations in the background of why this is made, and I think Samsung's starting to tailor their experiences very much into what the carriers are going to do. Um, be that as it may, 5G on AT&T surprisingly is actually pretty decent. It carried me pretty well in San
Hmm.
Diego, in Utah, and I forgot where else where I was. San Francisco, I think, for a quick trip. But it was so nice. As we're sitting on the tarmac and I'm waiting. I'm like, I could just download a quick video, quick episode of on Disney or whatever, and I can just binge watch it on the flight. It's really nice. And if you're looking for a tablet, I think check out the video. Let me know what you guys think. There's a few other examples, obviously, that we did there. And the keyboard accessory, I feel like, is a must if you'd like to use it as a
Yeah.
computer.
Well,
So
and
nice.
I know we mocked like the Apple series of commercials, what's a computer? And you're like, okay. So I want to highlight and I want to point, that was sort of clumsy fellow kid marketing from Apple.
Hmm.
But I'm also just really tired of the way that techies talk about tablets. Like when the Pixel tablet came out, I'm listening through multiple podcasts. I'm reading tons of reviews where, like, how it feels in the hand and this nano ceramic coating, it feels really interesting on the fingers. And, it feels one way when the tablet's cold, but it feels another way when the tablet's hot. And you know what? The UI is really fluid. And you're like, there's
It,
so much more that you can talk about. And I'm so tired of people throwing up this, like, well, tablets, they're solutions in search of problems, as if that's all they need to say, and then they don't have to do any work. Because, well, who even knows what these problems might be? And you're like, well, if you use the tablet, you can inform your audience as to what problems they can solve. And
exactly.
and for us, like, we're the type of guys who have been out there like editing video on our phones. Like, this is not this is
I
not
would. I'll say. I will say it's absolutely the one thing I will probably say that I miss is Samsung took away the feature of enabling us to use the tablet as an external display to your PC. That used to
oh
be a
yeah.
feature. And because that would have been such an easy recommendation for somebody that wants to go out. You turn your tablet into a secondary monitor, you connect it
Yeah.
to your computer, and now you suddenly have a 2K or whatever the resolution on your tablet end up being as an extra display, and you don't have to carry a separate display. Like literally multi-purpose functionalities I always feel like are great. It does, by the way, it still does work as an external display to Samsung books,
Sure.
the PCs, but I feel like they're trying to make it more proprietary, which is again a la
Yeah, they
Apple.
want to they're trying to make that Apple money, and they
Oh no,
won't.
no, it's a
And in
tougher,
fact, all
yeah.
they're going to do is encourage people to just go buy MacBooks and iPads. Like every time they do this,
So
all they do
surprisingly,
is improve
Microsoft is
sales for
really
Apple
gunning for them
products.
though. I don't know if you saw some of the comments during the day. Obviously, today is Happy Microsoft Day to everybody if you were following the news.
Happy Surface Day.
Yeah, and Microsoft was actually touting some improved performance in rendering speed tests on and
Hmm.
comparing it to the M2 Pro, and I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
tell me more.
Well,
Although
yeah,
I'm like,
especially for the studio, like
oh,
Microsoft
absolutely,
really
the
made some. We can
studio,
talk about that a little too.
yeah,
But just kind of wrapping up. So one of the other major stories today, and I was so bummed because I
Hmm.
actually wanted to set this up and like not tell anyone that that's what I was gonna do and just see like how well it ran. Android 14, there's a new
The new beta.
beta
Hmm.
out today, or like it's the beta before public release.
Hmm.
And one of the features is you can plug a Pixel into your PC and use it as a web camera. And I get it. A bunch of techies got real excited about that. Look at this extra functionality that you can do from your phone now. Your phone can replace a webcam. Isn't that amazing? We've been asking for other things to do with our phones, and
Yep.
I keep I
Sorry.
I
Yeah.
have to keep managing this because it's like my brain will explode if I really bottle up. Like this is basically just free therapy. So you're gonna have to listen to me kind of unpack this.
Please.
But we have been promoting desktop modes and laptop replacement and PC replacement and aggressive, heavy compute tasks out in the field, replacing portable gaming systems. Like there are so many other things our phones can do, and it just galls when, yes, a cool feature like turn your phone into a webcam. We
Like, have
wanted
you
that.
heard of Ready For? I
Sure.
mean, I'm just sorry. Have you heard of Ready
But
For though?
have you done anything else
I
with
think,
your
if I'm not mistaken,
phone?
doesn't VR Droid allow you to do that exact function over Wi-Fi? And it's been around
Well,
since like
we've had a whole bunch.
2019.
See, I don't like the wireless solutions. I really
I,
don't,
it's not the best
because
solution. I'm
they're
with you.
they're network dependent. So
Yeah.
if you're on like at a hotel, nah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I
then
am
well
not.
traveling, and that's why Ready For was so great because
Yep.
not only did you have a cabled webcam that could then connect to like a TV or a laptop dock or something like that. But especially, for those silly high resolution selfie cameras, Motorola put in that, what I do with my camera where it kind of tracks your movement and kind of zooms in on your face and stuff. And
Yep.
so like for a business solution that's way better. But again, Motorola had to make that.
Yep.
Now it's going to be a more accessible component or part of Android 14. That's progress. I love it. It's Android 14. We've
As long
been
as you have video
trying to
output.
figure out ways to use our phone cameras as webcams for a decade,
Hmm.
but we finally have a native Android version of that. But I just like the unequal commentary that one feature is going to get, as opposed to the myriad number of other things you can do with a phone that can displace tablets, displace laptops, displace desktops, displace cameras, and pulling all of these disciplines together for a pocket computer that is so ridiculously powerful, and yet we still talk about it primarily as like, well, it's what you scroll through on your TikToks. And you're like, and it
But
just makes me real cranky.
one thing I will tout though that I feel like Apple needs to start working on a little bit better. Yeah, Samsung tablets or Android tablets support Instagram natively. We get a full version of Instagram running on a tablet as opposed to where we get a cropped
You,
mobile version on Apple on
you know
iPad.
what
Still to
else?
this day.
What else is really cheesing me off right now?
Hmm.
Android 14, new beta. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. The punchline to that story was I was getting all set up before we jumped on the stream to use it. I was going to
Use it too.
use the Android 14 webcam from a phone and just set it up and just let people say, "Hey, Juan's camera looks a little different." Not on the Pixel Fold.
But that's what I was trying to
Webcam
say. I
webcam mode. The Pixel in my office that I most want to set up as a webcam to connect to my computer and prop it up and aim the cameras and have all that. Not on this one. It's on the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 7, but not here. So, also in the Android 14 beta, a feature that I have been dying for since the demise of LG
Mhm.
are per app aspect ratios. So now
Oh,
you can
I've seen. Okay,
force
yeah,
an
yeah,
app
yeah. Hmm.
into a different aspect ratio.
So you make it fit correctly on your display.
The Pixel Fold is not supporting 16 by 9. So if you want to full frame what would
Hmm.
traditionally be like a 16 by 9 image, no, they've got like half screen, they've got 4 by 3, They've
Well,
got full
maybe
screen.
they'll add more formats or more aspect ratios by the time it goes. But I mean, I know it's like a couple of weeks from
Well,
now.
what I'm hoping is like the phones that will support things like video out through the USB-C port will add 16 by 9 so that they can better talk to other displays, and that this is just something you don't really need on a Pixel since I
I
mean, like,
mean,
I have one gadget in my household right now that
mhm.
not a Chromecast. I have one other video device that talks to an app that then pulls like a screen recording, and you end up getting like 20 frame per second
Okay.
views, but it will sort of put out another image. It's not Miracast, but it's just some proprietary screen grabbing piece of hardware, which I'm
Okay.
sure is totally not ripping off all my data. I'm sure it's completely legit.
I'm glad you. Yeah.
But I'm going through this on the Pixel, and you're like, if I wanted to cast this to like my Chromecast and then like play a game on this network and have it full screen, the wireless version of that would be garbage, but I still can't tell it 16 by
By
9,
nine.
the most common aspect ratio for like monitors and televisions. And it just kills me. It's like we get so close. And that was one of the best features like back in the day on LGs, like the
Mhm.
G8 and the Velvet and the V60. We were going to these taller and skinnier aspect ratios, but you could just tell the phone, nah,
Nope. No.
go 16 by 9, and it would reformat the screen. You'd give you a 16 by 9. You'd have black space, you know,
Oh
like
yeah.
pillar boxing on the top and bottom of your phone, but then you'd plug it into a TV and it would be a perfect 16 by 9 image
It'll
for
match
that
the
app.
TV's resolution because that's where you're going to watch the content. You want it to match what the solution resolution is
Yeah,
on the host, not on the
right.
actual
And
remote.
Dex and Ready for get that, but
Mhm.
any other phone that just screen mirrors is just going to give you
Your phone and
letterboxing and pillar
letterboxing on.
boxing.
Yeah, I
So
mean, and I'll say Sony does actually do that when you're doing screen mirroring. It just basically gives you the phone. So it just even if you go sideways, unless you're doing full screen, then it does try to match the resolution. But if you're just looking at your phone, you go sideways, you're getting the whole. It's just a mirror of your display. But
JGJ is asking, and if I could screen here, I'm gonna make myself big at your expense.
it's okay, man.
Sorry. Oh, that's not what I meant to do.
That's the wrong guy.
Okay. So JGJ is asking per app screen mirroring, and if I could just plug in a cable, I could
Hmm.
like put this up on screen. You would be able to see this in full resolution. But you just go to your apps, and then like here, let me find like Audio Evolution Mobile. And so I'm in Audio Evolution Mobile in the app info, and I go down, and now in the Android 14 beta, there's a little setting for aspect ratio, and you click on that. You click on that, and then it gives you options like just a default. You could go full screen, you can go half screen, where it kind of just
In the
pins it to the
center.
middle, and then you can do the double taps to switch it panel to panel. And then you can force it into 4 by 3. But I can't do 16 by 9.
So, question: does it change? Yeah. Is it the same with every app, or is it just this one?
Same options for every app that I've looked at.
So even
So
like
I
Netflix
went
or
through, I went through media apps, I went through games, and I went through Audio Evolution and LumaFusion, the two
but
sort of
did you
main.
try social media? I'm sorry, did you try any dating apps? Because the dating apps may just
No,
work.
no, because when I install dating apps on my phone, my wife starts asking a whole bunch of questions about why there are dating apps on my phone.
See, it
So,
works. No, it does not work. It does not work. You know, we'll have to see. Obviously, the beta itself, as you said, this is the the last beta before the official release. October 4th is right around the corner. It's going to be Pixel
but
Day, where
I'm
we get
I'm
to see
hoping like if we started getting this on like think about going back to a OnePlus 10 Pro, having video out through that USB-C,
the
plug it
last
into a
video out.
TV,
Yeah,
set
I
it to
missed that.
16 by 9,
I miss that
like
feature so much on
so
OnePlus devices. Like
good.
4K 120 and video out, I
So
feel like were
good.
two things that I really think they should have stuck with. Like I don't get me wrong, I understand there are other things that they are known for and the slider and all that other
Mhm.
stuff, but it's exciting to be able to say, the reason why I'm saying this, oh sorry. So one of the things I said in my video for the Tab S9 Plus is I said, hey, I've even done it twice where I've done live streams using this where I've had total
Yeah.
failure on hardware, and the Tab S9 or at the time S8 Ultra wasn't the life and saving grace of this. And I found the last time you were over and we did the live stream together, we were talking about how nice it was that OnePlus had and plus Sony are the only companies that are putting out video phones with 4K 120. And of course, that was around the 10 Pro. And I was like, yeah, it's like, this is like, so I did not use the clip. I didn't.
But
I
it's like
felt like,
baby step by baby step, we're just losing more and more. I actually kind of had a little bit of an ennui meltdown on the
mhm.
Discord. And it was like yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And just like we were talking about, like, oh, this, and someone was saying, like, hey, yeah, I really don't want to, but I think I'm going to get an iPhone for my next phone. And I mean, the people on the Discord, I think they're typically Android leaning.
Mhm.
But like there was a lot of support for the idea, and it wasn't just like, oh, you turncoat and you're going to leave the land of Android freedom. Like we're all just exhausted. And we're all just tired of
Mhm.
every single bad move from Apple being replicated on our phones. And you eventually get to a point where it's like, hey, if I don't have the aspirations to turn my phone into a mini laptop or to do more production work from it or be more creative or play games from it, maybe I'm just tired of getting hassled for having the wrong color text message. Like, I know I'm losing or I'm giving in to the peer pressure, but like what's the point? Why are we going to continue supporting these companies if they're going to keep like removing the things that made the products unique that we cared about, why there was a different flavor of this phone versus that phone, or like
It's
why
a
a
tough
Samsung
conversation.
was different than an HTC, and you're like, that was fun and it was engaging. And that's when premium Android sales were at their peak. It's when we had all this competition and all of the
We
phones had
we
different features.
we used to go through generational like leaps and bounds on every phone, the new design, the new aesthetics. Like up till the S10 series, I felt like Samsung kept going up and up and up and up. And I think when they went to the S20, there was that dramatic shift in design. And then by the
Hmm.
S21, there was no more. I'm sorry, by the S22, we no longer had a Note. Now we only have an S series that is
Hmm.
a Note. So there's that whole evolutionary that big surprise factor. I mean, this is one of those things I'm really like we want to be excited. We want to be surprised of things.
And I'm even pointing this down to like the phones that sell the most. Like think about all of the mid-rangers that we've been checking
Oh,
out this year
well, yeah.
that have
Speaking of
started
which,
to lose
the Pixel
memory
8a got
cards.
got leaked. But yes, that's
Well, but no, but I mean like they've
yeah.
lost memory cards, they've lost headphone jacks. Even our like $400 to $500 phones
Which used
are
to
not
carry all those extra.
keeping.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was their bread and butter. They're like, look, we understand premium has certain aspects and certain features in there, and that you don't really need them at that level. You can get such a better experience there. I got it. But then to bring those features down to the mid rangers, where it's already a tough conversation to start, and you're trying to when you do things to the mid ranger, the people that are trying, that are barely able to afford the device that they want to get, but then you're trying to upcharge them to be able to get other things. Like I can't tell you how many times I am so happy that I have a headphone jack on my phone.
Yeah.
Like going to the Xperia from nothing against the Moto, but going to the Xperia from the Moto and realizing that, hey, where is my Bluetooth headset? Because I've happened to them a couple of times where I forget my Bluetooth headset. I just
Hmm.
have at work, I have my regular Sennheiser plug in. I can
Yeah.
listen to my music, I can do whatever I want.
You're good.
Um, but I think those are the things that we miss. Like, yeah, it's like it's a feature. Like the Poco F5 that I gave Omar for gaming still had a headphone jack, and that was the standard model.
Yeah.
The 5 Pro didn't have a headphone jack because
I
that was
know the more expensive phone was like, oh, well, you've already spent more money on it.
like
You
I feel
must
like
want to buy Bluetooth
like
earbuds too.
it's such a tough
And it's a
conversation to explain.
Poco.
I know, and
It's
it's
a Poco. We're not talking expensive Xiaomi
yeah,
devices.
we're not talking the high end Xiaomi. I mean, Xiaomi's going to have all the so the biggest thing I'll probably say is there are some substantial differences in devices that you're looking for. You obviously need to be able to pick out which one you want. Android 14 is going to bring us a lot of features that we've been wanting and that hopefully will start becoming more available to other companies.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to need to see how this kind of translates to other companies, because obviously, I've been playing with the OnePlus 11's beta version of Android 14.
Hmm.
Doesn't have any of these features yet, obviously, because they run behind the curve with where
Are they
Google is
beta
obviously.
2?
I want to say they're already up on beta 2. I downloaded beta
Okay.
1, but I don't think I haven't seen beta 2. Oppo's doing the same thing with the Color OS on their side, and I
Yeah.
think some of the and then you mentioned yourself, even
The
Vivo's doing
Vivo.
it on Vivo's running it
Yeah.
there. So we're at the point where we're going to start seeing Android 14 full fledged on the Pixel. Is it probably maybe launching? I think they'll probably
It's just making me sad because we're now getting some of these quality of life features, power
Hmm.
management features, screen aspect ratio, dimension features, stuff like
Video.
that,
Yep.
at a time when we're losing the hardware on the phones that would help us best make use of that software. It's maddening.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. And
It's
that's
it's
what
one
we
of
kind of all had, that little like kind of circle of commiseration, just like, this isn't fun when the market is kind of like stacking up this way. And there are plenty of people out there. I mean, think of all the people that we talk to, and
hmm
I mean everyone here in the chat too. And
Yeah.
someone pulls out a phone and you're like, you're still on a Galaxy S9. You have no idea how much junk you're going to lose when you upgrade that phone.
Yeah. Where
Not
you
only is it going to
so
be a
many.
fundamentally different experience in terms of software and UI and performance and all this other stuff, you're going to lose a bunch of things you might not be prepared to lose yet. And to me, that's like, hey, if I'm going to lose all this stuff on the phone, why not just go get the blue text message phone instead and not deal with, the parent at my kid's school sighing and rolling her eyes when she can't airdrop me a photo because her phone is flippin' stupid and can't handle file transfers from other devices. So like, it's just exhausting. It's just like it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. But the Android manufacturers are kind of complicit in putting the pressure on us and squeezing out the consumers and making everything worse on our side of the fence.
It's a
So
tough conversation. It's always going to be tough. I do want to talk a little bit before before we jump over to the other topic title that we have on
sure,
there. So last week I had the opportunity to go down to San Diego to check out Qualcomm for their Wi-Fi day, and I forgot to put that in the title, but I'll try to go back in there and change it later on.
sure.
So not apparently. So Wi-Fi 7 is obviously one of the new mediums that we're going to be
Hmm.
hopefully ushering in. Already built into the 8 Gen 2 series. It's already built into the 8 to the Dimensity 9200. It's not tech that's on our devices. It just hasn't been used. We don't have access, or I would say reasonably priced access points that we can use to leverage Wi-Fi 7. And plus, every company is trying to do their flavor of Wi-Fi 7 slightly differently. But sorry, not Samsung, but Qualcomm's approach to
Qualcomm.
this, because they had they had a table there, a really cool table there, with all the different phones from all the different companies that we really like Vivo, Xiaomi, not Realme, but Honor,
Yeah.
Red Magic, and all the cool devices, all running HN2s. The biggest thing that I really liked about what at least Qualcomm's approach to what they're trying to do is the dual connection, the running simultaneous connection on over 5G and 5 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz to try to circumvent network latency and bandwidth
Hmm.
issues, especially in the gaming realm. I feel like it's the most demanding side of actual connectivity, but also creators like us, because Acer was there showcasing some of their new laptop that are going to be switching over to Wi-Fi 7 as well. It was very exciting to see the demos, very excited to learn about it. And it seems like it's going to be driving their 2024 lineup. There are already Xiaomi routers and so on in China that are being released. Netgear is going to be jumping in on board with it, of course, as well as I'm sure Linksys will. Sorry, didn't mean to hit the phone, the microphone. But it's really, really exciting tech, really good information coming in. And gigabit speeds on Wi-Fi with low latency is the biggest driver that they're trying to shoot for. Like
Hmm.
Charter's going in with them. I think EE in Europe is going to be going in with them as well. They announced both partnerships in there, and they had a whole bunch of different panels and conversations going on. So it was a really exciting day. Finally able to talk about some of their technologies and going on, and I really cannot wait to see what's going to be, how is this going to basically help our lives get better? And also once they turn it on and get us to be able to use it on the HN2s, because it's coming out when the HN3 is coming out, it's going to be
Yeah.
exciting to say that it's a little bit backwards compatible. And this is the big thing. It should help at the end of the day alleviate some spectrum for the congested lower bands. And that I think is a lot of the
Yeah.
concerns where a lot of your IoT things still live like around
In
the
2.4.
2.4. Yeah.
Yeah.
So having things not having to sit in that realm will alleviate any kind of concerns in there. And
Yeah, I just
it seemed,
realized on our Wi-Fi 6 router, we've got a business grade router. I
Mhm.
never made the jump to 6E.
I did. It's not bad. It's
Almost
actually,
almost all of our devices are connected at 5 gig now. So
It's
I
the
get a
IoT. It's
little
the
bit of
it's
dropout just to kind of the periphery of our
yeah.
network, you know, sort of at the edges of our home, but almost everything else is pretty solid. So we haven't really landed on 2.4. I'm trying to think. I think one of the only things that's using 2.4 is our TV.
That good old Samsung. I'm just kidding. No. I'm with you.
No, it's the old LG TV.
Oh, the
It's an old TV, and I think that's the only
dude,
reason why
your LG is
for
still
some reason
alive.
it
My
does
old
not
LG
like
didn't do well.
it.
Sorry.
No, it does not like our 5 gig router. And again, Wi-Fi 6, and this is the thing that makes me nervous about Wi-Fi 7. We got our Wi-Fi 6 router just as the spec was considered finalized, but there were still flavors of
Hmm.
Wi-Fi 6. And so you'd get one phone and you're like, this phone really does not like connecting at this part of my router. Or BBK phones would refuse to see the 5 gigahertz. So if
Okay.
you went into airplane mode and turned on Wi-Fi, it would not connect to 5 gig. So you would have to disable airplane mode, turn the cell radio back on, even though there was no SIM card in the phone. Then it would find 5 gig. Then you could hit airplane mode and immediately toggle Wi-Fi back on again, and
Hmm.
it would stay connected to 5 gig. And it's like, that is not a common issue. It was just this mismatch between the flavors of Wi-Fi 6 and what the phone expected versus what the router did.
Yeah.
Again, short story, incredibly long.
What I was trying to say is that this is Qualcomm's approach to it. I mean, some of the frequencies, some of the
Yeah,
benefits of Wi-Fi 7 translate to other companies. You know, MediaTek also has their approach. I'm sure we're going to hear about it soon enough.
sure.
I mean, we heard about it last year, but how they're going to be applying it and some of the partners that are going to be working with them. I think that's the exciting part is to see new tech coming in to help our lives do better and
Yeah.
alleviate some of the latencies and congestions that we deal with on the in our homes because our homes are like almost microsites. If you really start thinking, especially if you like connected devices, how
Hmm.
many pieces of tech you have at home that's connected to the router and how many of them need to be on 2.4, especially those automatic the light switches that we use typically most of the time, those are all 2.4. They will not work at 5. And also, like you said, the limitation of where your geographic location is based on where the router is. 2.4
Yeah.
just carries further. It's a slower band, but it has better reach. Where 5 and 6 gigahertz don't reach as far, but they give you better performance. So it's kind of like you have to figure out which one works.
Yeah.
We'll have a somewhat of a better balance, and we'll have also kind of like I
the
said with
the the only unknown, and this is going to be something that plays out over this generation,
Mhm.
is the conversation from manufacturers, from the companies that are making the components to packaging the components into a router, and then working on the compatibility with phones and tablets and PCs.
Mhm.
I think Wi-Fi 7 is going to be sort of a dead router generation. And I
Okay.
think it's going to unfortunately be a problem. You know what? I shouldn't say that ubiquitously. In North America, where we're already reluctant to do a lot of networking upgrades, I think all of these partnerships, like, ooh, Charter Communications is going to do this and then do that and then package this router. Spectrum is trying to get me to flip the router that they force me to rent. And
Mhm.
you're like, I've never used it. It's just cheaper on my plan to have it than not.
Mhm.
And if you would cut my bill by me giving it back to you, I would, because I've got a much better router than anything you supply.
Absolutely.
But I don't think consumers across the United States are going to care about Wi-Fi 7 when it doesn't make their home internet connection any faster.
Yeah,
They
I mean,
already don't care to
yeah,
upgrade their routers.
to
Like, you
Wi-Fi.
see how many people are still on like
Well, I mean,
Wi-Fi
router.
G, you know?
I remember that one. No.
No, but I mean, it's like they don't
The
even know
VGN.
that
Yeah, I know.
Wi-Fi has changed to numbers. They're like, oh, it's like a
Oh Lord,
Wi-Fi N router, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's an old router.
is that an
Um,
AC or like what? Like, yeah, no, I'm with you.
I had to explain to my dad what the AX numbers were after. Well, this is like an AX 6000 router, but this one's an AX 7600, and that to me is also kind of a scam that they can advertise router
Wi-Fi
speeds
routers are
that
like
way.
TVs, though. You typically, it's like there's one of those things that you don't upgrade unless it breaks. Like seriously,
Sure,
because if it
sure.
runs and
But
it's not like dead in the water, you're
but
pretty
but
much
the,
not.
the the transition from 5 to 6 to 7 has been built on this, like, oh, we're going to improve these speeds, handle all this congestion, all the
Seven
devices
is
in your homes
promising
talking to
quite a
each
yeah.
other.
7 is trying to
uh,
promise that. Yeah,
sure. And I'm sure it will perform better. I mean, Wi-Fi 6 has performed better than Wi-Fi 5, but
yeah.
the main thing that people are going to look at is, well, I plugged in this new expensive box that's supposed to give me speeds.
Hmm.
And then I went to speedtest.net or I went to fast.com, and it's
Yeah.
exactly the same. And it's been exactly the same for 3 generations of Wi-Fi now, because we don't actually improve. It's the same thing that I was complaining about with 5G. We don't
Hmm.
actually improve
The
the
back end.
connection to your home,
I was about to say, yeah, it's the
but
same.
the network in your home keeps getting faster and faster and faster. But very few people are like us, where we're running like Plex servers and editing off of NAS devices. And you're like,
No, but that's
why
that
would
that
you invest in a new router if you're not doing anything like
this is
that?
why I feel like Qualcomm is trying to hit more on the business side and try to allow companies like Charter and like EE to improve to try to usher in the technology. Although you're right, for the most part, if you're getting a 5 megabit connection, or let's say your maximum speed is 30 down and 10 up, getting
Yeah,
a router that does 1 gigabyte down, and like you're not
yeah,
gonna get that, because the reality is
no.
it's still the same connection. So there it has to be a fundamental shift. Like once I left there and I came back from San Diego, my first thing I started doing is like, hey, so how does Charter, or how does no, Charter, um is it Charter or time? No, yeah, Charter. No, Spectrum, dude. I'm like, I don't have Charter, I have Spectrum.
Spectrum's going in on, because I thought
No,
I
no, no,
thought you were
Spectrum
right with
wasn't.
Charter.
Yeah, it is
Oh, okay.
Charter with them. But what I was trying to say is, like, even if I decided to pick up a router myself, because like Xiaomi makes a
Sure.
router and Netgear is going to make a router, you can buy your own, right? This is the beauty
Yeah.
of tech. Um, their gigabit connection for my internet provider, and watch my internet
Mm-hmm.
drop right now the moment I say this, is 1 gigabyte down, but 40 megabytes up.
Bits.
Like
Megabits.
megabit,
Not
sorry, but
megabytes up.
40 megabits
Megabits.
down, I mean up. How does that make sense? How is that gigabit?
Well, that's cable copper for you. I
I mean,
mean,
am
we
I
never did the last line like we were supposed to.
am I downloading that much corn or something like that? Like what is it that you need to download at that much?
Cable companies have skirted by, and they put pressure on the FCC, because the FCC is looking at redefining what you can advertise as high speed, and all they
Yeah.
did was redefine high speed
Mhm.
broadband as what cable companies already offered. So in most markets, you're looking at hopefully up to 100 megabits down, and I think
Well, yeah. So
25 or 30
on a
megabits up.
DSL connection, when I tried going over to AT&T to try to see if we can offer whatever, because I tried this in the past, because AT&T does offer fiber, but not in my area.
Not in your area, yeah.
AT&T
Yeah,
said,
I know
"Hey,
that
we can
pain.
offer you at 100 megabits down and 15 megabits up." I'm like, what? No, I'll stick with. I'll say the Spectrum is, for what I have from Spectrum right now, has been doing well. It's just that the last few weeks or so, I've started transferring content over the internet, like 20, 30 gigs at a time. It just
Mm-hmm.
takes forever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, like I seriously, sometimes I wish I could just take the stuff, put it on my drive down to my local, I forgot the name of the coffee shop, where I know where the cell tower is sitting there, and I can just
Yeah.
upload over on T-Mobile, because I feel like T-Mobile will be faster.
My,
Like at
the,
the
my,
utmost.
my embarrassment is occasionally I have driven to a library.
That's not a bad idea. I am following you, my
No,
friend.
I'm with
Anything.
you. Is this
Yeah,
is
it's
this
just,
is horrific.
it is
Because the
horrendous.
fastest I think we can get, I mean, they say it's up to 40, but it's
Yeah.
really up to 30, and
Yeah.
that's if we get the business grade line. And my
I had to switch to business, by the way.
home
That's the only
grade
way I'm getting
line
40. Yeah. The only way to get it, because I had to
is
switch.
technically only up to 20, but I'll routinely hit like 22, 23. So I'm not going to switch to a business grade line for a 7 megabit difference in upload speeds.
It,
And what you're saying is totally appropriate. Like, there have been times where I have had very large 4K video files, and I also like, hey, you know what? Lex's library books are overdue. Let's kill two birds with one stone. I'll just drive over and hop on their Wi-Fi, and it's like it's a proper what do you call that, duplex, or it's the same speed up and down,
Oh,
and the
asynchronous, not asynchronous, synchronous connection.
synchronous connection.
Yep. Sorry.
And you're like, well, yeah, this is really nice, and it's very quiet, and I can get some writing done, and it's
Oh no,
uploaded
no,
so much
absolutely. You
faster.
can sit there. You can even sit there and do some editing, put your headphones on,
Yeah.
do some actual like legit work, and be in a quiet environment. Absolutely.
And just like I got out of the house for an hour. It was great. It's
You
so
could
sad. I want that.
get a few steps on the watch. You know, all of that.
You
But
10 extra steps from my car to the library. Oh God.
you gotta talk. I know. I have to. I've been trying to do better about um forcing myself like so the 3 days that I do go into the office, this is my silver lining in why I have made me going into the office being a good thing. Not that I don't have to, obviously I realize work and all
Hmm.
of that good stuff. So my day job obviously is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays at the very minimum, and if they need me more I usually go in. um I have a they have a gym. We have an actual
Nice.
office, like a
Yeah.
facility gym, and it's a legit gym. It's tiny, but it's a legit gym, like treadmills and runners and all that good stuff. So I force myself to go in there in the morning. I get in early enough in the morning that I'm like, there's nobody here. I'm just gonna go down. I'm gonna get my workout done, and I'm last 3 weeks I've been forcing myself. So at least 3 days a week now I've been getting in some steps or some runs, and it feels so good. It just feels
Yeah.
we got to get back. Yeah, it's just it's hard. Um,
So I
the
just for my birthday, the last birthday gift, this is back in August, we finally got them shipped in. I got some new adjustable weights. So
oh
I've
good, yeah, yeah.
been
Oh,
doing.
the
So
clipping.
it's just the side arm. So you slot out and then you slot
Oh,
in, and
okay,
they're
okay, yeah,
big, they're rectangular and stuff. But like they're nice. I really like them. And then tomorrow I'm supposed to be getting my new trail hiking shoes. So
nice.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah, yeah.
I wake up.
You gotta wake
Marie
up. You gotta do them.
usually tackles dropping Lex off at school, and I usually do the pickup. But when they're out the door, instead of just sitting there soggily trying to answer my email, it's like if I just get out and I walk 2 miles, my day is so much better than
You
if I
started
just
off.
sit there and stew over a
You
cup of
started off on
coffee.
the right foot, and I think it's always going to be better in that manner. I think that's the biggest
For sure.
problem
Hey,
where
real
we
quick, I
need to
know we
find the
didn't
balance.
put this on the list either. Do you want to break down some of the Surface announcements? Because
Sure.
we
I
got Surface Laptop Go 3, we got the
Yep.
Surface Studio, and then also Panos Panay is leaving, and he's
Oh,
going to
I missed.
Amazon.
I okay.
Yeah.
I
So
heard about
first off,
Rupert Murdoch
we can at
leaving
least do
Fox,
that. So
but that was a different thing. Yeah,
the
stepping down.
rumors are,
Yeah, yeah.
and I bet you are going to be incredibly shocked and surprised at this turn of
Okay.
events. Shocked.
I
So there is no proper confirmation from any of the parties involved. These are just the rumors and speculations from people who knew a guy who once sat across from Panos Panay at like a Panera Bread.
That's how we do it.
Because it's just fun to say Panos Panay at a Panera Bread. Uh, the rumor is
Okay.
that Microsoft was aggressively scaling back on projects, and a number of them were hardware related, which meant the Surface team was going to be getting less funding
Yeah.
for future experiments and initiatives and sort of their moonshot,
Yeah, yeah.
like the more experimental stuff.
Well, the
And
Vanguard
this
stuff. Like,
kind of dovetails with like the Surface Duos not really having gotten as much support as we were hoping they were going to get, whether or not
mhm.
there was going to be more interest in foldable surfaces, not just Android, but like a
Legit.
proper Windows or Windows on ARM folding slate of some kind of like what Lenovo has shown off
Yeah, I was
and
about to
like
say
got
the
a lot of
yoga.
kudos for.
Exactly. Yep.
And so apparently Amazon just rolled a dump truck of money up to dude's house, and Panos was like, all right, if I can just have free reign to make the kinds of things I want to make, then sure. And he's switching teams. He's going from Microsoft to Amazon.
And I hope a lot of that, like a lot of those conversations move, and we see a research, not a research, even if it's a new piece of tech, but
I just
essentially
can't
the
I
idea.
can't wait for the first Amazon keynote where Panos gets real emotional with us. Because that's totally his shtick every single time. Like I've been in the audience. I was in the audience for the HoloLens reveal,
Oh my God,
but
man.
he
Okay.
was like, he was showing off the newest things of Surface, and just he's so emotional because it's what you're gonna do with the product and how it connects you and how it empowers you,
Yeah.
and and like I just remember the first Duo key, and like and just opening it and the possibilities and the imagination and just
It's his
I'm
baby,
getting really
man.
choked
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
about it. And you're like, dude wears his heart on his sleeve.
Absolutely.
For me, it's like it's respected, but it's also like I kind of like to parody it too because it's so on brand. It's so like his brand, but that kind of overshadowed the news. We've got some new laptops coming out. I do
Yep.
have this one queued up right here.
Yeah.
Both of
I
us
love
had
both.
a lovely time with the Surface Laptop Go 2,
Perfect.
and the
Yep.
Laptop Go 3 is getting just a little bit of a refresh. I think the prices
That's
are going to be appreciated. So they're all getting a little bit of a bump, but they're also being sold immediately on sale for the pre-orders.
that
So
good.
gone are the days of a Surface Laptop Go with 4 GB of RAM and 64 gig of storage. Like that just doesn't exist
Yeah.
anymore.
We
We're
need to just
happy.
we need to X that out now. Yeah.
No,
I'm with
we're happy that tier is dead. It's just gone.
we
So
finally we
seven
finally moved on from 64 gigabytes of storage on a
finally.
phone. Yeah.
So the two configurations for the Laptop Go 3,
Hmm.
the only difference is RAM. So you have a user replaceable SSD. Both of them have 256 gig of storage. And then the only price difference is whether or not you're going with 8 gigs of RAM or 16 gigs of RAM.
Hmm.
But that price difference MSRP is $200.
That's a substantial jump for just going from 8 to
It's a
16.
real big jump. But on sale, it's like $180. So it's a
Okay.
little cheaper to on these sales.
PC RAM is
Um,
laptop RAM is not that expensive.
no,
Okay.
no, no. I heard in a book that 8 gigs of RAM is $200. I heard it
Okay.
in a book.
So you
Like I
read
was
the
reading this book and they were like, "Oh, by the way," and I was like, "Oh, I heard that." Yeah. So
okay. It's
this is where I'm torn. Is there used to be more configurations where you could do things like
Mhm.
get 16 gig of RAM and it wasn't the most expensive option, but you could go up to like 512. I forget exactly what the configuration was. I don't know if they still have it. Let me see if they still
Well,
have it.
I feel like 16 gigs of RAM is more it's weird, but I feel like the amount of RAM to me is more important than the actual storage on the inside. Because you can augment the storage, you can't augment the RAM.
Right, but now going to 16 gig of RAM means you're buying a Surface Laptop Go at 999.
99, which makes
And
no at that point you may
that's
as well just
tough.
go to might as well go to
Even
the Surface Pro 9 at that
Oh
point.
no, I was gonna say if I want a clamshell laptop, I myself personally, rabid hater of Apple though I am now starting to scratch into MacBook territory. And a laptop Go is a really, really nice student grade laptop. It is a
Oh, absolutely.
phenomenally nice student
It
grade
is a
laptop.
it is
But
the little go-getter of a laptop, seriously, with the amount of things that you get in there, the functionality, the tech they were able to put in. The Go 2 was an absolute not gonna say beast, but it was really fun using it. I took it on a cruise. I didn't even bring any other laptops other than that. And that was the experience I wanted to run with. And it was fun. It was nice. It's small, it carries
yeah.
everywhere. And as long as you're not trying to edit like heavy duty work on it, like you said, student level grade stuff, I think you should be more than happy with it. And I'm glad that the refresh is not breaking the bank, at least on the base model, but it is still a
But
conversation.
but
8
that
gigs may be okay.
that becomes a tougher conversation when it's I want 16 gigs of RAM, 256 gig of storage is not a lot.
Yeah.
And the machine is beautifully built, but I'm also having to keep in mind who is it that I would recommend buy a laptop Go.
And maybe a Kingston external thumb drive slash SSD.
Exactly. For 65 bucks. Or
Well,
you know what you do is you buy this for $65 and then you crack it open and then you take out the SSD and you put it in your laptop Go to. Anyway, yeah, I was trying to see if there
I
was
wonder if
anything
they're going to give
else.
us the ability of doing what they showed us in the Pro 9 5G, where you were able to literally like you pin it
Oh,
up,
just
you could
pop the thing
just
up.
pop.
I
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I think it's still going to be
soldered.
a remove the bottom cover. It's not soldered. No, it is
Oh, okay,
user upgradable, but you
okay,
have to
good.
take the entire bottom off the laptop. But yeah, I mean, it's getting a new, it's getting its little spec bump up. It's Core i5, 12th gen, so
Hmm.
it's
As opposed
not
to
the bleeding edge of Intel, but it's newer than what we got last year. it's just kind of interesting to me because like the price at like $719.99 is acceptable, but it does bother me that it's $200 to get another 8 gig of RAM.
If it's self, so I'll say this: if you're able to access the RAM and you're able to change the RAM, I'd recommend just going with the base model and
I
upgrading it later.
don't think the RAM is upgradable.
So you
I
think the
think the
RAM is
RAM is
soldered
soldered.
on,
So
but the
like, and
drive
especially
is.
when you look through the spec sheet, you know, like memory options, you can get 8 or 16 gig, but then storage options, a removable solid state drive starting at 256.
So there
So
is, yeah,
I think the RAM might be like
that
baked
sucks.
in, which really that's very frustrating to me that on the student grade machine that it I feel like there's potential. Like you would want to keep that machine running a little longer. Maybe you're going to try and keep your student going through high school, but just some performance concerns come up, or you want to just nudge up what the
Hmm.
machine is capable of, and then you can't.
Yeah.
Moving on, we also have. All right, let me get that back there. There we go. We
The
also
new
have
studio.
the Surface Laptop Studio 2.
Hmm.
And so this is their laptop that has that interesting hinge in the kind of middle of the screen, so you can kind of prop it straight out, so the screen can line up with the trackpad, or it can look like a more traditional laptop. And again, it's mostly just the tech specs inside getting those bumps up. Again, 13th gen Intel CPUs, NVIDIA RTX up to a 4060, or
Nice.
there also is an option for an RTX 2000 if you want a more workstation
Workstation. Yeah, yeah.
style
Jump in on that stuff.
graphics card. And then,
Actually, I saw a
but the rest
studio.
of it looks really similar. The little stylus caddy under the keyboard so that you can charge a pen. It folds almost completely flat because of the way that hinge kind of slides under the screen. It's interesting. I still miss the Surface Book,
Hmm.
where the screen detached from the frame and it was its own tablet. But this has been an interesting sort of rethink on the compromises of a traditional laptop that turns into something tablety without just copying Lenovo's Yoga design.
It
So
is.
Studio has gotten its own little sort of a niche, its
I
own little
remember you
fan.
and I went to the Microsoft event last year. Not that
Yeah.
long. No, no, a couple of years ago we went for the Surface Go laptop because they don't refresh it
Hmm.
every year. Last year, I think where we went is we saw the Pro 9 series. That's what we got a chance to see. The new Surface Pro, which they do separate it technically because it
Yeah.
actually is a tablet that you get a case, well, a keyboard accessory for it. And the pricing on this one, wow, okay, yeah.
So yeah, the Surface Laptop Studio 2s does start getting a little pricey. So the base model, Core i7, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage, but only integrated graphics. So Intel Iris. Do you
Hmm.
say XE or do you say like Z
I
or
say
Zay?
XC, Iris XC.
XE. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, me too. 1799 on sale. MSRP $2,000 to start for the Surface Studio Laptop 2.
It's a big boy.
The first model you can grab, yeah, I think I'm looking at this right. First model you can grab with an RTX 4060
Hmm.
is a Core i7, 64 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. A terabyte of storage. That 4060, it's on sale for $29.69, full MSRP $3,300.
Wow,
And
that's a big
then
jump. Well,
the top of the line, like the big, well, it's
the
pretty
big Kahuna.
close. So if
Yeah.
you go with the RTX 2000 workstation graphics card,
Hmm.
that's going to be MSRP $3,600, and then the RTX 4060 with 2 terabytes of storage is $3,700. So again, sticking with this is what's I don't get some of this. Same core Intel Core i7,
I'm assuming, yeah, it seems like
same
i7
64
is.
gigabytes of RAM,
Hmm.
same RTX 4060, and going from 1 terabyte of storage space to 2 terabytes of storage space is $400 difference in the MSRP.
do they mention what type of SSDs that they're using? I mean, what is it like a
There is no 2 terabyte SSD for $400.
no, those things are like 125, maybe 200, 150 if it's the worst case. Like if you really want to go performance is maybe 220, but like
Yeah,
$400 for an extra terabyte? I
I
uh,
don't get it. I really
I
don't.
don't
And the thing
yeah.
that bothers me about the Surface website is
Mhm.
that I can't easily compare all of the configurations. Like I can't just line them up and see like is there another difference? Like is there a
When you
Core
run the comparison
i7
tables, most
difference?
sites never include the exact same data, or they'll include some but not all, others. It's always frustrating. It's almost like you have to open it up in multiple tabs and line them up. Like you
But
have to kind of play
yeah,
that game.
that's a big jump.
That is an
It's a
expensive
four
jump, my
hundred
friend.
dollar difference for a terabyte. You know,
I
if you just need an extra terabyte of storage space, you can pick up a little Kingston drive
no,
for like
at that point I would probably
$65.
say, yeah, get an external get an external like 4 terabyte drive, connect it to an external case, and put that sucker on the desk next to the
And
laptop, and
then
then run your stuff off of it. Yeah,
and
you have the
then
ports.
take the $200 that you saved.
Exactly. You're not even at the point and buy yourself a
You
good case.
definitely have not spent $400 on on
No,
your
I mean,
drive
so
there.
it's exciting to see some of the benchmarks that they were trying to tout and they were talking about again. The Studio is the one that they were benchmarking against the M2 Pro.
Yeah.
Um, look, the reality is these are workstations. These are professional grade pieces of hardware. This is
Hmm.
not your average. I just step into
And not just
a Surface
workstations, like
Studio.
I think there is a concerted focus on creative endeavor. The
Very much.
stylus
You could tell
support, the way
exactly.
that the screen is sort of
Pivots to the front, exactly.
yeah.
The whole hands-on display type of an experience. Absolutely. No, I'm not disagreeing. I think that's going to be one of those things we have to kind of see, and it's also the user base is going to be very
Yeah,
small. There's a
I
reason why it's
can't.
so
So
much.
if you go through their specs, I can't see anything different. Like if you told me that the base model had a different Core i7 than the top of the line model, I
Hmm.
could see where a $400 price difference could be factored into the cost of that. Or like say you went with an RTX 4060 with 8 gig of RAM for one model, and then there was like a 4060 with 12 or 16 gig of RAM, and you're like, oh
Yep.
yeah, more graphics RAM. That would contribute to a $400
Oh no,
price.
yeah, yeah, no,
No,
no.
they're all exactly the same listed on the site.
We'll have to see. And one of the I forgot the name of the person, but there was one of the comments saying that doesn't doesn't this happen with many companies? No, no, absolutely. There is a price upward. It's not a question of should
Sure.
it be more money going from 8 to 16 or from 256 to 512. We're
And
just saying that the
we know we're
jump,
paying a Surface tax. So
absolutely.
we're already accounting for
It,
Microsoft does not build bottom of the
they're
price
exactly.
comparison
We
machines.
the
They're
Pro
not
9
competing on
5Gs
price.
is a perfect example of where you
Yeah.
were and where but what we're trying to at least just the logic as the multiplier effect. The multiplier is the concern that I think I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Um if you're going to go for it anyways, might as well just go I'm not going to say balls to the wall, but I just said it actually, didn't I? Okay, great. Uh
No, no, no.
yeah.
Don't go with the 64 gig of
Hmm.
RAM, 1 terabyte,
And leverage an
4060,
external storage. Yep.
and that the SSD is upgradable.
Yeah.
And I promise you, like if we need to do it live here, I will go to thenewegg.com, my former employer, and we will go to
They have massive markdowns,
um,
markdowns, markdowns.
especially because SSDs are like at their cratered lowest prices right now. SSDs are going to get more expensive at the end of the year because all of the SSD manufacturers are colluding to raise prices. So let's see, like SSD, come on, SSDs, internal SSDs, and what do we want? We want 4 terabytes.
Sure. Let's do 4
So
terabyte.
we'll do 2 terabytes and up. And then I'm going to go most expensive, highest price. So no, I don't want SATA. I know it's so like the most expensive, like actual thing. Oh wait, you know what I should do is say in stock, new, and sold by Newegg, so it's not their garbage. Um,
Market base. Market
yeah,
space.
I don't want all that
So
mess.
right there. So 989
So
is right there.
so 8
969, 799.
terabytes,
Oh, those are eights.
8
Sorry.
terabytes for 1,000, 8 terabytes for 800. So once we start getting into like the Fire CUDA
Well, those are the higher
PCI
speeds.
Gen 4
Yeah.
X4 NVMe drives, we're at like 600. So yeah, that makes sense. But then, oh yeah, even like Fire CUDA's at 424. I guarantee you, you are
Hmm.
not working with a high spec Seagate Fire CUDA in your Surface Studio laptop, and that's a $400 drive. All right, we're now getting into sort of PNYs and Corsairs.
Hmm.
4 terabytes, PCIe Gen 4 by 4, NVMe 1.4, $300. So whatever Microsoft is putting in there for their 2 terabyte drive has got to be kind of magic. It's got to have
It's
like a lot of magic applesauce on it. You can get the Vision Tech 2 terabyte solid state drive. It's an M.2 to 2230, so the smaller size. It's the
mhm.
size that you would get to like put in
the
our Surface
the
or
MSI
put
is
in.
179 for the 4 terabyte to the
Well,
right of it.
that's but that's what I'm saying is if you go to the 2230, that's the half-sized
Oh,
SSD that
oh,
you would
that's right.
put
Yeah,
on
the
in
one
like
that
a
we're shooting.
Steam Deck, and I'm assuming that might be the drive that they're putting, the size drive that they're putting into the Surface
Yeah, yeah. Because
is
if it,
$180. It is less than half the price of
dude,
what
that would be
Microsoft
a
will charge you for
if
that
that thing
two
would work
terabyte.
on our Steam Deck, that would be a nice upgrade.
Actually, I think we'll have to ask. I don't know if Andrew did it. He was saying like he wanted to pull the trigger, but there was a 2 terabyte drive that someone said was Steam Deck compatible, and he wanted to jump on it.
Senior Fat Produce.
I'll hit him up tomorrow and I'll see if he did it or not.
Oh, dude, yeah, for sure. That would be so nice to be able to load up because I was thinking about getting Mortal Kombat 1 on
Oh wait,
pre-order.
it might have been this team group. Hold on, this might be it. Team group 2 terabyte. Yep, they
Oh, right
say
there, Steam
it's
Deck right there.
built for Steam Deck, and
Yes.
this one is $170. So it's even less than half the price.
That
But
would be
yeah,
nice.
so that's the Steam Deck compatible. What is this? Yeah, PCIe 4 by 4 NVMe,
Hmm.
uh, solid state drive, 2 terabytes.
That would be a nice. This could definitely be a nice. Not gonna say Christmas. It's too early there. Probably like a Black Friday or something like that. Try to pick it up for the Steam Deck and
Right.
upgrade it for the holiday. It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea, man. I'm good with this.
So
I can live
so
with it.
again, I have a problem. I'm always glad to see Surface refreshes because I think they make beautiful machines.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned that this year we're getting some price hikes, which in lieu of rampant inflation and terrible economic factors, we should expect that. But it bothers me when so much of a premium is placed on 8 gigabytes of RAM and so much of a premium is placed on a terabyte of storage because I can't find anything in here that reflects those kinds of prices, even assuming
Hmm.
there's going to be a retail markup from Microsoft on these
Especially on the
components.
Surface. I think yeah, you're right.
That's
That's
just
when you said
above
the
and
word
beyond.
when you said Surface tax. Absolutely, it is absolutely a
Yeah.
Surface tax that we
But
see.
even this doesn't feel like it's just normal Surface tax. This feels like Surface Tax Pro, like the upgrade Surface tax.
The upgraded
So
tax where you not only go but you go beyond pro. But no, I'm with you. I do know that you had one more subject, the one more thing that we had
yeah,
on our thing, the Ace Magic.
let's not spend a whole bunch of time on this because I just got it in and I've just started doing my testing on it. So this was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
going to be the tease. But this is the AceMagic AD15. It's a little mini PC from
That's what it
AceMagic.
was. Okay, good, good,
And
good.
I know we've been playing with some Intel 12th gen, and there are even a few boxes that are now starting to come out. 13th gen, the
Hmm.
Nook division at Intel is now, I think, properly owned by ASUS, but B-Link and Geekom have been doing a whole bunch of other
I like
machines
my
kind of
Geekom. Yeah, yeah. No,
floating around.
absolutely.
So this is one of AceMagic's sort of higher end desktop mini PCs. This is an 11th gen Core i5
Hmm.
with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. I had to look that back up. And all of your favorite
IO.
PC and USB and I/O and multiple ports on the back. It can support like up to 4K monitors. It's got a 2.5 gig NIC
Oh, nice.
for the Ethernet, and I'm gonna be breaking into this thing, putting it through its paces, doing some performance testing. Pricing on it is very competitive,
Hmm.
so there'll be a little bit more information coming out on this. I think we're in kind of a golden age of mini PCs right now, because we
I
have
think
so
that,
many older components and older laptop components that are kind of out on the market right now. It's really easy for these companies to put all the pieces into a little box and kind of sell that at very aggressive prices.
no, absolutely. And I think that's going to be one of the exciting ones. I love when I was doing the review for the UPerfect displays, the dual display option that they have now with the dual 15s.
Yeah.
I connected it to the Geekom and a USB,
Mm-hmm.
and a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, and that was such an amazing because it runs it so well, and the PC fits literally in the back. You don't even have to show it, and it just looks like two displays standing up in front of you with a keyboard and mouse. And you
Yeah.
go, this is cool. Like, so yeah, no, absolutely. Mini PCs for the win. And I think Geekom's been one of the better ones as well. I'd like to see, how the AceMagic is. I was gonna say cyber.
Yeah.
The AceMagic will definitely do it. And it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be exciting to see how that comes out. Whereas the other thing I was gonna say, since we're kind of running close to our time, which is we
Sure.
typically do, is there any other videos that are coming out from you? Are you gonna drop any other
Probably
videos this
not.
week or okay?
I am performance testing some things on my desk that I cannot show people.
Haha.
And I'm working on putting together a video on those TCLs, the Ray Neo Nextwear S.
Mhm.
I'm still trying to wrap up my thoughts on Pixel Fold, and I don't think it's going to be a video. I think I'm just going to write kind of an article about what it was like to use it throughout the summer and into the beginning of the school year.
Mhm.
I have a lot of really mixed feelings on foldables in general, but the Pixel Fold kind of helps highlight some of the internal conflict I have over this emerging uh, market. And then it's just testing for things that I can't show you yet. So I'm running benchmarks on products. I'm doing testing on the AceMagic, and hopefully I'll get some stuff out soon. But I'm also
Yeah.
trying to wrap up the Find X6 Pro. I borrowed that from our good buddy Barry,
Hey.
and I'm eventually going to have to give him his really nice phone back. I'm sure
Ah.
he probably wants it back. I'm almost done with it. I just need a few more like night test
Barry's
shots,
getting on a
and
flight
then
right now. He's like,
he's gonna show up on
"What?"
my doorstep in the morning and just
We're
be
like,
like, "Yo,
can I just get it
what's
back
up?"
now? Yeah. Juan's like, seriously, dude, just a couple more weeks. No, I know. I'm worried. We always love Barry, and it's really nice that you got a chance to play with. I seriously, one of my favorite devices to date
It's
has
really
been the
nice.
Find X6 Pro, that and the Xiaomi 13 Ultra, and I
It, it
really want to
it's
see.
it's the four. It's the Xiaomi, Vivo, Oppo, and Sony are
They're pushing it.
the camera conversations for me this year, and they
Yeah.
have these delightful flavors
Yep.
of what each one does well, and the other ones, I like every time I pick up one of them, I kind of wish, oh, I wish I had this feature from one of the other phones, and then I pick up one of the other phones, like, oh, I kind of wish it had the feature of the phone I was just holding, and so
Get
it's like I
married
just
already and
gotta
get us the baby that we wanted. Like, yeah, no, I
right.
know. Yeah, yeah.
It's like I've
I
just got to
totally.
walk around with like, what would that be? Almost $6,000 worth of phone if I want all the features that I really like.
Like
That's really bad.
fanboy.
It's what I
Walking.
call my "don't mug me" cargo shorts.
Yes,
So please
absolutely. And
don't
and
mug
you're
me.
always looking over your shoulders. For me, I think I was hoping to put out a video on a really good. I'm not going to say Xiaomi scooter for Ultra knockoff. It's a different scooter, but it's very similar to that. That is available for us to be able to buy in the US. So that video was I was hoping to put it out this week, but there are some stock issues and whatever. They wanted me to hold the video one more week because so they wanted people to have when the video goes live for people to be able to pick it up if they wanted to. So that video is going to be
Yeah,
pushed the next week, and I'm going to try to push a video out this weekend because I need to finish my reviews of the tablet and the watch I got from AT&T together.
yeah,
Although I have my own watch, since I got the watch from them, I need to put the package back and ship it back. So I that's basically what I'm shooting for this week. To kind of close the week out for me will be basically the Watch 6 Classics, the smartwatch, sorry, the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic review for the Samsung Watch. And for next week, I'm kind of in the same, somewhat about, I'm not going to say the same boat, but similarly reviewing some
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I can't talk about till next week. And then we'll have to basically stay tuned. I think next week when we talk, we'll have a lot
Hooray!
more cool stuff for us to be able to chit chat about.
Yeah.
And who knows? Who knows where we'll be? You know,
Maybe
one of
one
those
of the
conversations.
things that I can't tell you about, I'll be able to tell you about next week.
What a tease! What a tease!
Who knows?
No, I know. But truly, honestly, first I'll say thank you very much, obviously, for being with us here, hanging out with us on this beautiful Thursday night. I hope you're doing well. I hope you guys are enjoying your tech. You're doing more and doing better things with your tech to augment and improve your life. Make sure to catch Juan on his show on Monday. He goes every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time with the SGGQA. It's his soapbox that he goes on and he enjoys sharing his thoughts on the latest news and information coming up all around the webs. And of course, we'll be back with you guys hopefully next week for the, at the same time for the best of our week podcast. We're just two old nerds chit chat and talk
Mm-hmm.
nerdy stuff and remember, and then obviously covers other things, hopefully in personal experiences
Yeah.
and tech. So
And just yelling at kids to get off our lawn.
that's next week's episode title, man. Don't give it away. Don't give it away. You young kids. But be safe, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.